Hey, what's up, everybody? It's LeeLos. I missed you guys. I'm happy to be back, dude. I had a pretty big college exam that I had to do last month, so that took up like the entirety of the month and didn't make any videos during that time. I'm sorry, it was sad, but now I'm done with that. And yeah, pretty happy. So this is going to be an awesome month. So today, guys, we are going to be power scaling the old Yonko versus the old Admirals and the new Yonko versus the new Admirals. And shout out to the YouTuber Sergeant Skylon for giving this YouTube video idea. Really appreciate it. Thanks again. So yeah, guys, keep up the great work towards your dreams and goals. You're born to win. You're made for greatness. I definitely believe in you guys. Keep up the great work each and every day. So here's genuinely the simplest way to put it. The Yonko, the 3 Admirals, and the 7 Warlords were stated to be a power balance in One Piece. Oda established this very early in the series, and I think a lot of people forget this. That's why there's still like so many Yonko versus Admiral debates. But Oda very clearly states that the Admirals need the 3 Warlords on their side in order to fight against the Yonko. Meaning that if the 4 Yonko fought the 3 Admirals and the 7 Warlords at the same time, then it would be a stalemate. If the old 4 Yonko fought the 3 Admirals without the 7 Warlords, then it would be an overwhelming, disgusting victory for the Yonko. This really says a lot and makes it very obvious that the Yonko are more powerful, especially when you consider that the 7 Warlords have very powerful characters like Mihawk, who's stated to be a rival to Shanks, and they had Jinbei, who was relative to Ace, and Whitebeard was sick and dying. Think of this, like if Mihawk, Akainu, Aokiji, and Kizaru fought Big Mom, Kaido, Shanks, and then sick, old, dying Whitebeard, then the Yonko would still win just like very badly. This becomes even more obvious when you consider that in Marineford, nearly the entirety of the Marines, like all the Admirals, they had the Fleet Admiral as well, a ton of the Vice Admirals, all the 7 Warlords together really struggled very badly against just one sick, old, dying Yonko and his crew, and like Luffy and some of his buddies, dude. Like, and like Luffy didn't even know hockey. Like, there are so many Marines that could just wreck Luffy at that point in the series. It was wild. And it was implied throughout the Marineford that if Whitebeard was in his prime and healthy, he wouldn't have taken anywhere near as much damage. And then literally the moment a second Yonko showed up, the entire Marine Force just gave up. I mean, so like they just gave up as soon as the second one shows up. So it paints a picture very clearly that the Yonko are on a much higher tier than the Admirals. So now let's go to the new Admirals versus the new Yonko. Plain and simple, it's just a disgusting, like, slap session. Like the Yonkos just bully them so badly, dude. It's not even close. So Shanks is so strong that Green Bull was afraid to even fight him. So, I mean, it's obvious that Shanks is much stronger than Green Bull. Now, Fujitora, we haven't seen everything he's capable of, but we can gather a good estimate on how powerful he is using context clues and scaling. So, for example, if Oda gives us more details about Fujitora's full power and surprises us, like maybe he has some hidden ultimate Yonko tier attack that we've never seen before, then maybe some of the scaling points I'm about to say could become outdated. But as of right now, what I'm about to say is a solid way to scale Fujitora based off of the manga. Fujitora was relative to Sabo when Sabo just received the fire fruit, and Sabo was still a complete beginner in terms of using its abilities. I mean, literally right before the fight, Sabo says that he's just not used to using the fire fruit's power. So now that Sabo has had more time training with his devil fruit, it's heavily implied in the most recent chapters of One Piece that Sabo's become a lot more powerful. So much more powerful that Fujitora was not able to capture him in Marijoa, even though Fujitora was able to fight Sabo evenly in Dressrosa. Oda takes time to show us that Sabo actually trains with his devil fruit as well, so we know he's getting more powerful and greater mastery of the fruit. To be fair, Fujitora was most likely not using his gravity powers to their full ability, like summoning meteors, etc., due to not wanting to damage Marijoa, but still in Dressrosa, Fujitora, he implies that summoning meteors are like not even his strongest attack anyway. I mean, he does them at the start of literally like every fight, and then he states that he uses them just to test the Straw Hats and to test the law and stuff like that. So it seems like it's just kind of a casual attack for him, or that he at least has a lot of attacks stronger than that, or at least some attacks stronger than that. And he has attacks like Raging Tiger that do not do that much damage to the area around him. And it's not that great of an excuse either, honestly, especially when you look at someone like Kaido. He just one-shot Luffy in their first fight inside of his home country pretty quickly with without really doing much damage to his surroundings. And you can just make an argument that, like, why didn't they just fight Sabo out at sea if they were so worried about destroying Mary Joa? So then Luffy surpasses Dressrosa Sabo in his base form during his fight with Kaido due to his advanced Conqueror's Haki in Rio and Future Sight. All that together, Luffy was just on a different tier than base Sabo was by the end of his fight with Kaido. Then Luffy can stack Gear 2nd, Gear 3rd, Gear 4, and Gear 5 on top of that. So there's just honestly nothing Fujitora can do to Luffy, especially when you consider Luffy can just make an island-sized fist. It's just coated with all these disgusting hakis, and it was so strong that it overpowered Kaido's strongest attack that he ever displayed. I mean, what would Fujitora do against that, dude? Like, I mean, really think of it. Like, imagine if Kaido was fighting Fujitora and Kaido did that giant fire magma Susanoo dragon. Do you really think Fujitora would be able to do anything to counter it? Like, any move that could cancel that out? I mean, if you really think Fujitora has something that powerful in his arsenal, then honestly, it makes absolutely no sense why Fujitora and Green Bull together wouldn't have been able to beat Sabo and a few of his boys back in Mary Joa. Yeah, it's just, there's a lot more evidence that Luffy would just slap Fujitora around. Now, Blackbeard is underestimated a lot because he looks silly and goofy. Oda, in One Piece, he has a habit of making silly and goofy looking characters just absolutely cracked. Like, look at Gear 4 Luffy, for example. Before even having any devil fruit at all, Blackbeard was strong enough to scar Shanks. That's something that Mihawk hasn't been confirmed able to do in countless battles with Shanks. We don't know exactly what age Blackbeard was when he scarred Shanks. All we know is that it was before Romance Dawn and somewhere after Roger died. So that's before Shanks was 27 years old, which was 12 years ago in the story's timeline. So highballing Blackbeard, you could make an argument that Blackbeard, even with no devil fruit at all, 12 years ago, was relative to Mihawk 12 years ago, which is crazy. But it's possible that Shanks has hidden scars from Mihawk that we've just never seen. And if so, that would take a little bit away from this feat, but still it implies that 12 years ago, Blackbeard and Mihawk were somewhat relative in power, even before Blackbeard had any devil fruit abilities at all. Now, once Blackbeard got his darkness fruit, he just became truly broken. And a lot of people underestimate how strong he is with that fruit. He was powerful enough to clap up Ace very badly. He countered Ace's most powerful technique, the Dai Entai, something that we don't even know if Sabo's been able to master that technique yet. Furthermore, it's very likely that Blackbeard's a perfect counter to Kizaru. Kizaru's light powers and Blackbeard is darkness powers, so it's likely that a similar situation to how Luffy was a perfect counter to Anil would happen if Blackbeard fought Kizaru. On top of all of that, after getting the Quake fruit, Blackbeard was just so powerful that it was implied that he soloed the remaining Whitebeard crew with just the Quake fruit. One of the members being Marco, who was able to have a back and forth fight with Kizaru on his own, and then Vista, who was holding his own with Mihawk. Robin does say that both sides brought in plenty of help, but like Marco, who was actually there, says specifically that Blackbeard was too powerful with the Quake fruit, and Marco says that they were no match for Blackbeard specifically, so you can highball Blackbeard to saying he just soloed them all. And Blackbeard has had 1 year on top of that to get even more powerful with his fruits. Blackbeard has at least 2 devil fruits, meaning it's possible he has 2 awakenings. It's very likely that he has advanced Conqueror's Haki, and he might even have a 3rd devil fruit. I mean, all that power together, it's just a level of power that Kizaru just cannot match. Especially when you consider the possibility that Kizaru is probably weaker than Aokiji and Akainu, so the current Yonkos slap new admirals as well. And you could genuinely make a great argument that just Shanks and Blackbeard on their own versus all 3 of the new admirals at once, that Shanks and Blackbeard would just destroy them pretty easily. But yeah, that's about everything I wanted to say, guys. If you guys want more breakdowns in power scaling for specific characters, or maybe specific admirals versus specific Yonko matchups, let me know in the comments. Thank you guys for watching, and you have a great rest of your day.